Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what Indians are all about.
I still say we Indian people are believers in the truth. This is the way of life that was given to your people. You're born an Indian, you're going to die an Indian. Indianness is a good life. You're facing an Indian this afternoon.
Good Saturday afternoon out there, everyone, and welcome to your number one source for Native American television news, Native News Today. I'm your host, Jason Salzman, and we join you now from the Mvskoke Media Studios, and we are ready for a great episode this week. Lots to cover, lots going on out there as we get into closer and closer to election season. That means fall is right around the corner. Football season. I know a lot of you are joining in, watching your native news, and then going to watch some OU football a little bit later on. I actually could have went to the game this week, but had to turn down the an offer from my good friend over there in Porham, Mr. Rusty Gertie. He's a loyal watcher of Native News Today. Him and his son Simon asked me to go with him, but I couldn't do it. I had prior engagement, but know they're on their way, and a lot of people are ready for that ball game. But before, let's get some Native News Today going. We're so glad that you join us right here each and every week on the CW Network, and we're going to take our first break. Come back, and we'll have the show for you. You're watching Native News Today.
I was having a real hard time and a lot of stress in my family. I felt like I didn't want to live anymore, like I couldn't take it anymore. I went to a psychiatric hospital for a few days, gathered my thoughts, and got some medication for my depression and anxiety. I started going to behavioral health for counseling, learned better ways to communicate and talk to my family, and healthy ways to cope with my feelings. If I hadn't got any help, I might not be here now.
I know when you know someone who is struggling that they may think there is no one to listen. I lost my son, Tyler, to suicide. Don't wait to ask the question. Be direct. Ask your loved one, are you thinking of taking your life? Ask before it's too late.
And welcome back to the program, and we'll get focused and started this week where a lot of people's focus is in the country right now, and rightfully so, on the folks in Houston that are dealing with the effects of Hurricane Harvey. There's no way that you folks watching at home haven't heard, seen, or been keyed in to the devastation that has happened there. But here at Mvskoke Creek Nation, we do have the Lighthorse Police Department, the emergency management team. They teamed up to send relief and the resources they have down to Houston.
When we started receiving information from the Houston area, Houston Emergency Management, City of Houston Emergency Management, Harris County Emergency Management, of needing assistance on rescues that are going on due to the flooding from Hurricane Harvey. We started looking into it, trying to organize a team to take down and to assist. As y'all know, there's a number, probably 600 plus Creek citizens that we have down in that area, and we felt like that it's our duty and our job to put something together and go down and assist. It's going to be organized with the Oklahoma Office of Emergency Management, and what we are doing, we will be working together with this. Once we get to our location where we're going to be staging at, they will send us out, where we need to go. As of this morning, we thought we were being sent to Katy, Texas, on the west side of Houston. As it turns out, we received information that we are going to be staged in San Antonio. And what this is going to do is will probably send us into the hurricane zone itself that was initially hit. And it's, you know, by keeping up with news outlets and pictures and everything, it's a pretty bad situation down there as well. And then at that point, you know, if they need us to go east, then we'll go east and to the Houston area. And who knows, you know, if it's worse farther east than that, well, then we're available to go, you know, maybe into Louisiana if need be. We are fortunate to have equipment and resources that we can provide to other areas, not just within our tribal area here, but elsewhere. We have, as you see, we have 2 boats that we were going to be taking with us, along with other equipment that we can, you know, provide those assistance and with the other agencies that we're going to encounter down in Texas. We will be down there, like I said, coordinating this with the Oklahoma Emergency Management Division, plus the other locals down there. But you know, we have the boats that we can get out into. We're also going to take 4-wheelers with us, so that, you know, when we're going through other areas, you know, looking and trying to help with that, then we can, you know, we'll be able to maneuver through with that. Plus the number of the manpower that we're going to have, the number of men that we'll have going with us. And I believe we have right about 10 or 11, I think, is going with us, plus emergency management. At this time, I'm not sure if there are any other tribal agencies going. I was given information that the BIA has was put on alert and on standby for this, and that what I was getting just a little bit ago was that they are sending a couple agents down with some boats also. So as for, you know, such as, you know, the other area tribes, or, you know, in this part of the state, I don't know of any at this time, but the BIA is the other one that has been activated. We're looking at at least a week. It just depends on, you know, the process. There's going to be a lot to it, and if they decide that we need to go farther east, then we're going to go with them. You know, it's just not, you know, like I said, the number of Creek citizens that we have down there that we feel like is our priority to take care of. We're also going to be taking care of 8 million other people in Houston Metro, plus those points east.
And keep the Light Horse, the emergency management team, all of them in your prayers, as well as all of the people that they're down there assisting in the Houston area. We hope that you enjoyed seeing that, and really we will have an update from them when they get back, as well as some footage that they are obtaining for us exclusively for Native News Today. So Godspeed to all those folks that are down there helping. Well, as I said, we're moving close to election season, and we continue our candidate profiles here. Now is a look at your candidates from the Tuckabudgee District.
Yes, I think the MCN should reduce the blood quantum. Our tribe is thinning out from the blood quantum, and there could be more people that has less than what is needed, and more experienced, more educated.
I have to say no. For my reason, it being that I do have kids and grandkids that are going to be less than a quarter, but I believe that we as a sovereign nation ought to hold that blood quota to a quarter and above. Just simply because I know that one day there'll be nothing but less than a quarter Indians in the community. But until that day comes, I would rather us stay in that realm. So that way I don't think there's anybody smarter or anybody more intelligent. I'm just saying that if we lower our standards now, somebody that just rubbed against the Indian would qualify to hold public office. So that's my stand with that. You know? And if I was presented with a vote on that, I would have to vote no.
I don't have a strong opinion about this. However, I do know that I guess the basis for limiting the blood quantum to 1/4 or above was done at a time when there were many, many full bloods, many, many people over 1/4. I saw a recent pie chart, if you will, that showed that the vast majority of Creeks are now 1/4 blood and less. And certainly that needs to be considered. And there's other considerations regarding those citizens who are less than a quarter blood. And I think that I'm certainly open to discussion on that matter at any time.
I don't know enough about this right now. I don't have a feeling about it right now. I think what I would need to do is contact the people, get with the people and see what their opinions are. And if elected to council, that would be a discussion amongst council to see what their constituents, how they feel.
I would prefer not to have the same-sex marriage being legal within the MCN. That would, to me, would be against our tradition within our tribe.
I myself, I don't believe in it, but that's just my own morals and standards. But we do, me and my family, we do know people that are in this same situation. They're not married, but they live together. They've been living together for years and years and years, and they've been doctors and whatnot, and that we know that make a great couple. And they never have given me no difference to believe that they wouldn't hold honor to one another. I think that's what marriage is all about, is being committed to one another, man or woman. But I still believe that to be legal in Mvskoke Creek Nation, I think that's something I would vote for, simply because that if my children do that, I would still love them. And that same-sex marriage, and if they both like one another and love one another, because I've seen people that have been married to man and woman have been fighting ever since I've known them. So I believe that if they stay together and are happy with one another, I think Creek Nation itself could recognize them as a legal couple.
I don't have, once again, a strong position on that. I don't have any objection to those people who are have same-sex marriages. I think that that's a personal thing. It's kind of like abortion and things like that. I don't know how you dictate to a certain population morality. And once again, I'm open to discussion on that matter as well.
No, I don't believe so.
Only if the tribe's able to do per caps, that would be revenue, and make sure the tribe itself is not in danger of going into debt. And so if the tribe is able to handle per cap per citizen, then I would agree with it.
I believe the avenue for per capita payment has it's not in our favor right now. As we get money through the tribe or from the Department of the Interior, that all Creek citizens are equal to that same amount of money. But each bill or each situation is different. Each person has a different type of agenda. Each community is different, because one community might need $200,000 to keep that community up and running, the building, utilities and everything. Whereas for another community may get this need $100 a month to keep it going. So I think as for per capita, I think we have lost that avenue event, but I think that maybe in the future, as the Creek Nation grows, they might give a disbursement out maybe once ever so often, like a percentage. But to me, as a per capita payment, we would lose a lot of our ability to function as a tribe. We would lose money for each program that we do have. Some people need it, some people don't. So I believe that if we just still keep it the same until further on down the road. Because right now, I think as a Creek Nation, we don't have enough funding to really generate a per capita payment to a citizen. it'd be great, but we got over 80,000 citizens, so and that's quite a bit of money.
That's interesting because that same question appeared on my Facebook site on my announcement to run for national council. My answer to that person, and it remains the same, is that with a population of over 80,000, you've got to consider how much that would affect the treasury of the Mvskoke Creek Nation. That's not to say it couldn't happen. It may happen on a certain term or a certain basis. One of the things that has crossed my mind and certainly worth looking at is whether maybe we can create some sort of a trust distribution for minor children that when they turn 18 or 21, that trust would have built up by the time they would become adults. And that would help them with things like college and things like that. And that money could have been sitting in there drawing interest, for example. And the same way with the adults, maybe some sort of a trust distribution be established to sit there for a certain amount of years and that give that person time to consider what to do with it in case of retirement or how to use it in their older years. But annual per capita distribution, I don't think is a reality considering the number of citizens that we have and the income that our tribe generates. I know that we have the potential to generate a lot more income than our tribe does, and if we were able to get into something that would create that kind of revenue, it may be considered at that time, but as it is right now, I don't think it's a reality.
No, I don't believe so. I believe that all of the money should go into one pot and then filter down to all citizens. That's my take on it.
Communication is a big key to being, especially a national council. I would attend meetings. I would be on social media. I'm willing to give them my cell phone number. Wherever I'm needed, if anybody has any questions, I can come to them or they're free to call me.
My communications to our constituents in our area has been done mostly through community meetings. I'm not too much as a social media kind of guy, but in a community meeting setting, I really go to those community meetings and listen to whoever's there. In some cases, there might be 30, might be 130. But the social media is something that I haven't really got used to. My children all get on it. They use Facebook and whatnot to communicate with one another. And as for the press, I think the press is a great way to communicate through newspapers and whatnot. But a lot of our citizens are not equipped with computers, cell phones, and I hate to say this, but there's probably a few that still don't know how to read. And so a lot of communication to me is verbal. Talking to the citizens in a community meeting. The people need to get involved with those community meetings because they can get there and get all the information they need from their representatives that attend to those meetings. And also get involved with the community itself. Social media is a great avenue because I can text people and whatnot, but a face-to-face is you can look at somebody's face and see the expressions, how they act and how they react to whatever questions they have. Long distance arguments never been one of my ventures. I didn't like to talk to somebody 100 miles away and don't see what they have to say. I hear what they're saying, but I can't talk to them face to face. And they can shut me off, and I can shut them off on social media. The press, it's a one-time thing, and once you say it or once you try to answer it, that's pretty near about it. then you have to recanter everything you said, make sure that everything you said is correct the first time. But I believe in community meetings. I think that's a justified place to do and talk to your people, and we need some way to get our people involved with the communities themselves.
I would use all of those. I think that not only that, but visiting. Once again, I got a question on my Facebook page and asked me about how I would, well actually it came from my candidate profile, is how would I represent our constituency outside of the boundaries of the Creek Nation. You know, I'll be open at any time, just like with our citizens here within the tribe, within our boundaries. I will put my contact information out there. I'll be open to communicate with anyone, anywhere. I know that we have some pretty good size populations in California, Dallas, Texas, Kansas City, Missouri. I've got a lot of friends in Kansas City, Missouri, and in other parts of the country. And I think those people are as important as tribal citizens, and that tribal programs that are funded by the tribe should be equally as accessible to all of those folks as they are right here in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. You know, that's it sounds like it's not a big deal if you live within the boundaries, but even people that live, and this is a common phrase, south of I-40, a lot of people feel disenfranchised because they don't have access to the day-to-day services. And we've done a lot, we've come a long way establishing the Southern Regional Office and sending our program people out to the communities, but we need to continue to communicate with them openly, to give them involvement, give them information, share with them all the information that we can, so that those services and that information is accessible at all times. I will use social media, I will use the press, and I will use community meetings, but we can go beyond that. I suggested that we set up I would be open to being your outlet as at-large citizens to communicate with me, and I would give a monthly report to whether it's a council committee or whether it's to individual council members of the matters, issues that are going on for you that are just as important. You talk to me, I'll talk to them. I'm not saying that I will be your representative officially, but there's one other scenario that we can consider. In a nearby tribe, they have an at-large council member. And there's nothing that would prevent us from doing that other than maybe a referendum on the Constitution. And if that's required, then I'm certainly willing to move to that, because our citizens are important wherever you are. Whether you're in Florida, in that corner of the country, or you're in the eastern area, Washington, D.C., New York, or whether you're up in the state of Washington or out in Arizona or in the center of the United States, in Denver, Colorado. It doesn't matter. You're a Creek citizen. So you should have representation just the same as everyone else.
I would use all of them, the best that I could. For me, I'm an introvert by nature because I see the press on this question. But, you know, it's just something I'll have to learn and something I'll have to do, and I'm willing to do that.
I didn't start voting for any political party until maybe 10 years ago. I would say I'm a Democrat, but I pay more attention to our tribe's elections, and that's what I want to continue doing.
I vote Democrat. I always voted Democrat ever since I was eligible to vote. I think because my dad voted Democrat, and I see a lot of things that in our elections, that public elections, that a lot of Republicans are running for, and I don't believe in a lot of their ideas, but sometimes I do. I voted for a senator that, and I still vote for him. He's a Republican, but to me, he's a good man in our district. So I can't say I'm just a one party line, but I can just say that I am a Democrat, and my wife's a Democrat, and my children are undecided.
I'm a yellow dog Democrat, and I always will be. I always was, and I always make a little joke about this. When I was a little boy, my grandpa told me I was a Democrat, so I thought it was like your last name. I thought it was something you inherited. But as I grew up and I became aware of the matters that affect people in my class range, mid to lower class, I guess, if you will. When I was small, we were probably considered lower class economically, but I knew that for the causes that affected my family and my relatives, that the conservative people didn't seem to have concern for the things that affected us. As a matter of fact, Native matters, Native rights are a thing that the liberals, and when I say liberals, I'm talking Democrats, they're most attuned to those and they're most familiar with those. And I don't have to, the best evidence is right now. We've got a Republican conservative Congress right now. We've got a Republican president. They've already started taking the budget apart, those programs that historically helped Native tribes. And to me, they're part of our treaty rights, whether it was housing, whether it was social welfare, it didn't matter. Those were a part of our treaty rights and should have been preserved. And this current administration is not doing that. So that's the best evidence of what's best for us, and that's the liberal causes. So yes, I'm Democrat, and I always have been and always will.
Mine is Republican.
And that'll do it for another week's episode of Native News Today. I want to thank everybody out there that's really been hustling this week. Folks out there, we know, kind of bear with us. If you've seen the candidates that you've wanted to see or seen the district that you were keyed on, we're going to continue with our candidate profiles for just a few more weeks here, and then we'll get back to a regular program. But we thought, and knew that it would be very important, very vital for our citizens at Mvskoke Creek Nation to have these candidate profiles, to hear them talk about pertinent issues of the citizens brought forth of Mvskoke Creek Nation. So a few more weeks of that. I remind you all to keep the folks in Houston in your thoughts and prayers, as well as our own Mvskoke Creek Nation, Light Horse Police, and emergency management team that have went down and provided resources and pitched in with the relief efforts down there as they clean up and rescue folks from the damage and the effects of Hurricane Harvey. Well, as I tell you every week before I let you go, check us out on YouTube, go to our channel, subscribe, go to MvskokeMedia.com to keep up with all of the news that we're covering on a daily basis around here. For Jared Moore, Devin Luxinger, all of us here at Native News Today, we'll see you next time.